Got a copy ability you want to see on the next copy ability spotlight? Stay tuned until the end of the video to find out how you can help decide the next one. Remember how last time I told you to imagine it was the 90s? Well, now I get to tell you to imagine it's the 2010s. And as of the day this video is released, there's not much time left to actually be in the 2010s. We're at the tail end of them, and for this ability, we go back to the start. Well, almost the start, not quite, if you want to nitpick. On today's copy ability spotlight, we look at one of my favorites, Spear. This one isn't going to be the lengthy behemoth that Beam was. While that ability starred in 13 games, Spear technically only appears in 3. We'll be covering a 4th one. If you're savvy, you already know what it is, and leave yourself a pat on the back. But to not waste time, let's begin. Kirby's Return to Dreamland introduced 4 new copy abilities: Water, Whip, Leaf, and Spear. Of these abilities, Spear caught the least attention. Water and Leaf were both hyped as super good abilities very early on, while Whip was seen more as a for-fun ability than anything else. The only thing you'd really hear about Spear was that Bandana D was a spear that couldn't lose the ability. Spear is an ability with a variety of moves, each covering something different. Spear's default attack, Spear Thrust, is a long-distance poke that can cover either in front of Kirby, behind him, or above him. Moondrop is an aerial move that sends Kirby spiraling downward, while Spear Throw has Kirby throw spears in front of him. The most important move in Spear's kit is a variation of Spear Throw. Spear Barrage, it's really just Spear Throw done in the air. They separate moves like this sometimes for some reason. There are 2 reasons why this is such a vital part of Spear's kit. First, you can move Kirby forward or backward while throwing spears. His fall speed decreases while using this move, so not only does the distance Kirby travels increase, but he also throws a whole lot more spears. In the arena modes, this is what you'll be doing with Spear more often than not. The damage on the actual spears, while very good, isn't among the absolute strongest moves. It's just the amount of them that you can throw is peerless. Okay, that's obviously not true. Actually, while Spear's best time in the true arena is better than I thought it would be at 8 minutes, 15 seconds, and 32 milliseconds, it's far from the best. This, of course, is with Spear and not Bandana D. Even though he can't lose his spear, the poor little guy is significantly weaker than Kirby, resulting in a much worse record. I mean, because of Bandana D's jump, you can always do Tash strategies. I mean, look at this. Honestly, this looks kind of funny. Spear is a pretty technical ability, but it's a really fun one to play around with. It's one of the best abilities for dealing with anything, regardless of where it is on the screen. If you're going for a no damage run or something, Spear is one of the better abilities to try it with. I can't say much about it for optimized speedrunning and such, but it's in the 100% speedrun at least, saving time in Onion Ocean underwater. It feels like you see every ability in this game's 100% speedrun though, but that's part of what makes it such a cool category to run. Spear was in a very good spot in Return to Dreamland. It was technical, but fun to play around with. Good, but not broken. It even had Bandana D as an alternate option. Trouble Deluxe though? Where do I even begin? For the true arena, heck, even the regular arena, Spear is the worst ability in the entire game. Spear's true arena world record is almost a full minute longer than the second worst ability, which is Spark. And Spark, at the very least, is mostly bad just because the people who speedrun aren't robots. Tool-assisted speedruns exist to make Spark out to be a pretty good ability, but Spear? Do you want to know how bad things are for poor Spear? Out of the 13 boss fights in the true arena, it is the slowest ability for 10 of them. Yes, stat nerds, like me, that's over 3/4 of them. Spear is that bad. What the heck happened? Triple Deluxe added, as I'm going to call it, mercy defense to bosses. This means that if you hit bosses with attacks consistently, they'll deal less damage. What this means for Spear is that using Spear Barrage does not do a lot of damage, and none of Spear's other options do enough damage to make it worthwhile at all for speedrunning either of the arena modes. It has no use in any percent either, for much of the same reasons as not only this game's arena, but also the last game's any percent, on top of just being really inefficient. Those of you coming from the beam spotlight might remember that Planet Robobot did away with Mercy Defense entirely. And that's true, but guess what ability isn't in Planet Robobot for some reason? No, Spear's next game wouldn't be for a little while longer. The state of affairs for Spear is so bad that even Bandana D gave it up. He uses a parasol to fight instead. Kirby Battle Royale's current world record speedrun has a very limited pool of abilities. Sword, Whip, and Hammer are the only ones that even get used. Aside from the mandatory use of Fighter in exactly one instance, Spear not being one of those abilities, it has no real use in the speedrun setting. But fortunately, there are some games in Battle Royale where it doesn't really matter which ability you use. That being said, since you waste time changing from practical ability to Spear, and then back to the practical ability later, it's not recommended. As for multiplayer, there's little to no info on what's viable for every game mode, but Spear in this game isn't much different from how it's always been. Decent range and good poking options, Spear Barrage can only be used once in the air and functions exactly how it does on the ground, but one Spear goes very far and deals a good chunk of damage, so if you need an ability to snipe with, Spear isn't a bad option. Spear itself isn't in this game, but Bandana D put the parasol away and came back to Spear. When the game first came out, Bandana D was basically the same as Return to Dreamland as far as his moveset was concerned, but come the final update, he got this nifty ground thrust move, which shoots Bandana D forward really fast. This had to be made for speedrunning, not only because it so drastically changed the way Bandana D's guest star allies run was played, but I mean, come on, look at this. The current record sits at 41.5 minutes, and as to be expected from a speedrun, the optimization is through the roof. The background footage thus far has all been clips from Hisusan's Twitter, which I'll leave in the description. Go check it out, it's really great stuff. In the Beam Spotlight video, I didn't go over the ultimate choice. This was because, at the time, I didn't know whether or not to research solo runs or not solo runs. For Bandana D, the most info I found was ran solo. Plus, that's much more like the arena anyway, so we're running with that. Sizzling Threat's record is 10 minutes, 28 seconds, 85 milliseconds, and Soul Melter EX's is 14 minutes, 20 seconds, 50 milliseconds. With Planet Robobot getting rid of Triple Deluxe's Mercy Defense, Spear Barrage is back to being its old, destructive self again. Only this time in the hands of a pear-shaped monster, but other moves get used too. And by that, I really mostly mean ground thrust. Like I said, it's just really good for speedruns. KSA also allows for a lot of free-form combos as well, and Bandana D has several. I have the combo I used from the KSA combo video I made playing, but even outside of the corner, Bandana D can get some good combos off. As is, using back thrust when the opponent is cornered is really easy to abuse. And the easier it is to abuse things in a Kirby game, the better. Spear has never been the most optimal ability. It's only ever been good in 1 or 2 games, while being forgettable in one and literally the worst in another. Spear in its Kirby-fied state didn't even appear in Star Allies, so technically it's only ever been good in 1 game. That kind of gives it an underdog kind of appeal, but talking practically, I can only recommend using it for fun outside of Return to Dreamland, and if you count it, Star Allies. And it's a very fun ability. I said this already, but for those of you who skipped to the end, don't worry, Kirby fans got you. It's one of my all-time favorites, but on an efficiency level, it really doesn't amount to much. Want to see a better ability covered? Want to see an ability that's appeared in more games? Or maybe you just want more Kirby? I know I do. In the pinned comment down below, tell me which copy ability you would like to see covered next. And in the normal comments, talk about whatever. Spear, the video, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and ringing the notification bell. You name it. Until then, I've been Kirby Fan. Thanks so much for watching, and take care.